Can you guys see this? I'm zooming in. Okay. Okay. Camera, focus, please, please, please. Maybe, maybe not. Okay. This right here, my friends, this is the mighty, mighty chickpea. This thing right here that you're looking at, that's hopefully going to come in focus in a second, is one of the most incredible foods that you can have in your low-fat, plant-based whole food diet. Now, in general, we don't necessarily like to zero in on particular foods, because what really matters in the world of longevity and overall health is to change your overall collection of foods together so that you're eating a wide variety of mainly plant-based foods and trying to minimize or eliminate as many animal foods as possible. But then every once in a while, you come across a food that definitely needs a shout out. And this chickpea is one of those foods. So today we're going to go into detail here about what the heck is the chickpea, why is it such an important food, and if you're not eating them on a daily basis, maybe I can nudge you into trying them out and incorporate them into your lifestyle. I will tell you that I've become absolutely obsessed. And when I say obsessed, I mean obsessed with chickpeas over the past 3 years. And I have become obsessed for a number of reasons. But by the time this live stream is over, I want you guys to be as obsessed as I am. So I'm going to try and infect you with my obsession and see if you guys can also get into it. And I also want to hear from you guys. If you're already obsessed with chickpeas, cool. That's great. Tell me why. And then we can have some fun. Okay. So the first question for you guys in the chat box, go into it, whichever platform you're on, whether it's Facebook, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Instagram, whether it's TikTok, whether it's wherever it is. I want you to tell me, are you already obsessed with chickpeas? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, tell me why. Because these bad boys are incredible. Okay, here we go. Let's see. People are coming in from Florida. People come from California. Okay, Cindy says, I love my chickpeas. They're so delicious. And I add some mango and quinoa. 2 other great foods, no question. Anne says, working on it. Okay, she's coming in. She's trying to. Bob says, yes, I'm obsessed with chickpeas. Bob, tell me why. I want to know exactly why you're obsessed with chickpeas. Because, okay, they taste great. Good. That's a good reason. That's a phenomenal reason. Okay, what else? Patricia says, yes, I'm obsessed with chickpeas. That I like them roasted. Okay, keep going. Makes a great snack. Emily says, I like them. Cool. Love chickpeas because they're not only delicious, but they're nutritious as well. Neil says, I like the Aquafaba. Let's talk about Aquafaba. Okay, real quick. When you open a can of chickpeas, the can of chickpeas has basically this liquid inside of it. It's like a watery substance, right? You open the chickpeas. Most people just pour that liquid out into the sink. That is the Aquafaba. That's basically like the chickpea marinade, the chickpea juice, if you will. And that stuff is actually really tasty. And you can use it in your plant-based cooking, and it can add flavor and add texture and consistency. So if you like the Aquafaba, then join the club. Kim says, yes, I love them. Don says, I know they're supposed to be wonderful, but I never know how to incorporate them into meals. We're going to solve that problem for you today, Don. Ann says, been eating chickpeas for over 40 years. Ooh, Ann, is that a challenge, Ann? Are you trying to challenge me to eating 40 years worth of chickpeas in the next week? I think I can do it. Janice says, I love them. They're so versatile. Good. It looks like we have a lot of closet chickpea lovers here. Joan says, love the texture. Tammy says, yes, because they're so versatile. You guys are awesome. Sweet Potato Alley, yes, very versatile. David, no tuna salad is the best. I love it. Okay. Hi from Seattle. I watched the entire presentation, but I can catch the first part. Looking forward to catching up with the rest later. I like chickpeas, but not sure what to do with all of them other than bean salad. All right. So let's solve all of these problems here today. Jesse says, hummus, exclamation point. All right, cool. So here we go. The chickpea. Why is the chickpea so powerful? All right. First things first. A chickpea is a legume. Okay. A legume is a category of food that contains beans, lentils, and peas. So if you're a bean, if you're a lentil, if you're a pea, you're any color, you're any shape, you're any size, then you fall into the legume category. So chickpeas might make you think that they're a pea, but they're also called garbanzo beans. And so you're like, wait a minute, is it a bean? Is it a pea? I don't really know the answer to that question. The answer is, it doesn't matter. It's a legume, okay? Call it a bean, call it a pea, whatever you want. Technically speaking, it's a bean, okay? Now, the chickpea is a combination of 2 there's 3 macronutrients that can give you energy. Okay, 3 macronutrients that exist in the world. There's carbohydrate, there's fat, and there's protein. The chickpea contains all 3 of them, as does any whole food. It has carbohydrate, it has fat, it has protein. Okay, but the beauty of the chickpea is that it is a low fat food, which is good because every food that we suggest you eat, whether you're in the Mastering Diabetes camp or the Amla Green camp, is a low fat food. So that's checks off that box. And then secondarily, it is a carbohydrate and protein, a medium to high carbohydrate and protein food at the same time. So effectively what that means is that it's low in fat and it has medium protein content and it has medium carbohydrate content. And that's a good thing for you. Okay. So when you eat chickpeas, you're getting a good dose of carbohydrate energy, which is a good thing because carbohydrate breaks down into glucose, and glucose is a fuel that feeds your liver and your muscles and this bad boy, your brain. Okay. The more chickpeas you eat, the more glucose you have in circulation, the more glucose you can store in your liver, the more glucose you can operate your brain off of. And trust me, your brain is a glucose hog, and your brain not only chooses to run off of glucose and wants to run off of glucose, it is the preferred fuel for your brain. And the more glucose you can provide for your brain, the more cognitively active you're going to be and the better your long-term brain health will be. So that's a good thing. So chickpeas actually do feed your brain, if you want to think about it that way. Now, it's medium carbohydrate. That's a good thing. It's also medium in its protein content. Now, many people in the plant-based world are concerned that they're not going to be able to eat enough protein. The number one question you get when you transition to a plant-based diet is, how can I get my protein? Where do I find protein? And the answer is, protein is everywhere. Whether you're eating chickpeas, whether you're eating bananas, whether you're eating lettuce, whether you're eating tomatoes, whether you're eating a black bean, whether you're eating quinoa, whether you're eating millet, whether you're eating a dragon fruit, it doesn't matter. All whole foods contain carbohydrate and fat and protein. The question is, what is the ratio, right? Some of them are more protein rich, some of them are lower protein, some of them are higher carbohydrate, some of them are lower carbohydrate. But the answer is that every single one of them contains protein. Now, the chickpea itself is a brilliant, brilliant protein-rich food that has that can significantly increase your protein content without even trying. Okay, so the unit that I operate with in my head is the can. You go to the grocery store, you pick up a can of chickpeas, and the can of chickpeas is usually a 12-ounce can. So in that 12-ounce can, you then look at the nutrition facts on the back. And I actually don't have a can in my possession right now, but I wish I did. But when you look at it and you try and look at the protein content and the carbohydrate content, what you'll find is that 1 can of chickpeas has, on average, between 21 and 24 grams of protein. So if you eat 1 can of chickpeas per day, 1 can of chickpeas per day, which is a very easy thing to do, gets you between 21 and 24 grams of protein. Let's just keep the number simple. Call it 20, okay? You get 20 grams of protein from 1 can of chickpeas. Now, if you decided to eat 2 cans of chickpeas, that'll give you 40 grams of protein for the day. That's even better because now you're getting a little bit more protein content, and that's always a good thing. So most people are concerned that a plant-based diet is not going to provide them with enough protein. So the first question you got to ask yourself is, well, how much protein do I need? Okay. What is the amount of protein that's actually required for my body, for my activity level, for my age, for my sex, for my height, and for my body weight? The simplest calculation that you can do in order to figure out what your base level protein requirement is as follows. I'm going to do this calculation with you. Get out your iPhone, okay? Get out your iPhone or your Android, and I want you guys to open it to the calculator, okay? So pull up in your calculator right here. Okay, I'll give you a second to just get it ready. Okay, I want you to take your ideal body weight, the weight that you know is your ideal body weight. The weight, not necessarily the weight that you're at right now, if you tend to be overweight or underweight, but the weight that you're trying to strive towards. Okay, so in my example, my ideal body weight is 165 pounds. Okay. I'm 5'11", 165 pounds is exactly where I want to be. So 165 pounds is what I'm aiming for. And currently I weigh 100. You know what? Let me change that. 170 is the answer. I weigh 167 pounds right now. I'll put on a couple of pounds. I'll be fine. Okay. 170 pounds is my ideal body weight. So I take 170 and I'm going to divide that by 2.2 because that's how I convert from pounds into kilograms. So 170 pounds equals 72, what is it? 77.2 kilograms. Let's round it to 77, okay? So everybody take your ideal body weight in pounds divided by 2.2. You get your number. This number, okay, if you are a relatively sedentary person and you don't really exercise very much, take this number and multiply it times 0.8, just like that. Multiply by 0.8 and you get this number right here, 61 grams, okay? If I was not very active, I would be aiming for 61 grams of protein per day, okay? That's if I'm not very active. If I'm active, just like if I'm, recreationally active, maybe 2 to 3 days per week, I use my body at the gym, maybe I go for some walks, nothing strenuous, but just kind of, a little bit more active. Then you take that number in kilograms, which was 77, and you multiply it times 1. And the answer is 77. So if I'm a little bit active, then I'm going to be aiming for 77 grams of protein, right? A little bit more activity means a little bit higher protein requirement. Now, if I find myself to be really active, which I personally am, because I go to the gym every single day, I perform CrossFit, I play soccer whenever I have the opportunity, and I bicycle and I swim. So I don't mess around when it comes to athletics, and I choose that lifestyle. As a result of that, I'm going to take 77 and I'm going to multiply 77 times 1.2. If I multiply it by 1.2, this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is my protein requirement. Again, based off of my ideal body weight and my activity level, that's the number of grams of protein I'm looking for on a daily basis. Okay. So the question is, how am I going to get 92 grams of protein? Is that even possible? Well, I told you that 1 can of chickpeas is equivalent to approximately 20 grams of protein. So if I'm eating a can of chickpeas per day, that contributes to 20 grams of protein. Then I'm going to add in all the other food, maybe some potatoes, maybe some mangoes, maybe some bananas, some dates, some papayas, and other food. And I'm going to use Chronometer, and I'm going to figure out how many total grams of protein I'm eating on a daily basis. Now, I will be the first person to tell you that I don't eat 1 can of chickpeas per day. I don't eat 2 cans of chickpeas per day. I don't eat 3 cans of chickpeas per day. I eat, on average, 4 cans of chickpeas per day. That's me. I'm not suggesting that you necessarily have to do that yourself. If you want to, go for it. I think you'll love it. But I eat 4 cans of chickpeas per day for multiple reasons. Number one, I love the way that they taste. I think they're literally one of the tastiest foods in the world, period, end of story. Number two, they're very versatile. You can make them savory. You can make them sweet. And you can make them crunchy. You can make them soft. You can turn them into a paste. You can turn them into hummus. You can put it in a smoothie. You can do everything, okay? So it's very versatile. Number 3, chickpeas keep me full. Raise your hand if you've also noticed the same thing. You have some chickpeas in your diet, and then within the next 2 hours, 3 hours, you're like, ooh, I'm not hungry anymore. I feel full, okay? If you have experienced that yourself, then welcome to the wonderful world of legumes. Legumes tend to, like I said, they're a little bit more protein rich, a little bit more carbohydrate rich. And as a result of that, the excess protein or the higher protein content actually serves to teach your brain that you're not that hungry anymore. So digestively, you have a decent amount of protein inside of your digestive system that actually sends a neurological signal up to your brain, and your brain says, hey, slow down, don't eat so much. And then your brain basically stops asking for as much food. And as a result of that, you are satiated. And that's a good thing, okay? Protein-rich food in general is going to increase your satiation level, and that's a good thing. That's why a low carbohydrate / ketogenic diet in particular makes it so that people don't feel hungry because they're eating a bunch of fatty and protein-rich meats and cheeses and fatty vegetables as well. And they don't, you hear this from people all the time that I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry at all. I have 1 meal a day and I'm chill. I'm fine. Okay. Part of that is because the increased protein content just keeps them fuller. Okay. I'm not saying to eat a carnivorous diet or a ketogenic diet at all, but that's the mechanism at play. So it's protein rich. That's a good thing. 20 grams of protein per can. If you can get 1 can, which is the equivalent of 1 serving in my mind, Awesome. If you can get 2 cans per day, even better, because that's 40 grams of protein. Okay. The protein helps keep you full. It helps keep you satiated. And that's a good thing, because the more satiated you are, the less likely you are to eat excess calories. And when you don't eat excess calories, that actually contributes to weight loss. Now, one other myth about chickpeas are, oh, Cyrus, come on. I can't eat chickpeas. If I eat chickpeas, they're carbohydrate rich. They got a lot of carbs in them. And as a result of that, my glucose is going to go through the roof. Okay. There's a lot of people that tell me that. Literally, we have an ADT alarm system being installed in our house as we speak. And I was just communicating with the technician who was here. And I was explaining to him, about what we do and yada, yada, yada. And he told me, he goes, Cyrus, my wife, she has diabetes. And I was like, oh, well, let me introduce you to this idea that eating a low-fat diet is actually the way to go. And I gave him some food for lunch. I was like, hey, I like to feed people. Can I feed you? He's like, sure, no problem. And as I was eating chickpeas myself and feeding him, he was like, my wife won't touch chickpeas. There's no way she'll eat the chickpeas, because if she does, her glucose goes high. And I was like, the reason is because she's eating a high-fat diet. In a high-fat context, then eating chickpeas and or other carbohydrate-rich material causes your glucose to go high. So if you find that you're in that situation, then my strong suggestion to you would be minimize your fat intake to less than 30 grams per day every single day. You got to do that for at least 1 week, maybe 2 weeks in a row. And then when you are down below 30 grams of 30 grams of carbohydrate per day, 30 grams of fat per day, then you can slowly start to increase your carbohydrate intake from things like chickpeas, and your glucose is going to stay nice and stable. Let's go to the questions. Nolene says, do you ever eat raw sprouted chickpeas? I'm considering going raw. I was just talking about this with a friend of mine. The answer is I haven't necessarily tried that, but if you want to try it, I give you full permission to do it. There's another good friend of ours named Doug Evans, and he is the sprout master. And Doug has told me, with his encyclopedic knowledge of sprouts, that you can sprout practically everything you can think of. You can sprout a lot of legumes. You can sprout a lot of like onion seeds. You can sprout alfalfa seeds, microgreens, you name it. Things that are sprouted are incredibly nutrient dense. So if you want to go ahead and sprout some chickpeas, I'll give you full green light. Go for it. Sam says, question, I thought Aquafaba was not good to eat because of holding the gas promoting elements and maybe negative compounds. Okay. So the Aquafaba, when it's been soaked in, so if you take cooked chickpeas and you put them in a liquid substance, then you end up with like that's the Aquafaba. That's the sort of chickpea flavored juice, if you will. Okay. If you take raw chickpeas and you put them in water and you let them soak in water, that water is basically going to be hard to drink, because what ends up happening is that the raw chickpea, as it is getting soaked, ends up, what's the word I'm looking for? Secreting is not the right word, but there's compounds that diffuse into the water that often are the compounds that limit your ability to digest them. So if they're raw and you soak it, pour that water into the drain. If they're cooked and then you soak them, that water is Aquafaba, and you can have that stuff all day long. Okay. So it's just a question of what's the starting material. Is it raw or cooked? If it's raw, put it in the trash can. Okay. Marsha, I stopped eating them as I heard there's arsenic in chickpeas and one should be careful. I haven't heard that, Marsha. I don't know anything about that. I know there's arsenic in many different types of rice. The growing conditions matter. So if you're going to buy chickpeas and you're really concerned about arsenic, then make sure that you get them from an organic manufacturer. And you can even call them and ask them what the arsenic level in their soil is, and that might help you out. Marsha says, question, how to get enough calcium on a plant-based diet? Okay, the answer is green leafy vegetables. Green leafy vegetables. Anything that's green, anything that's a leaf, especially if it's a darker color, that's going to be good for you. Any version of lettuce, especially things like red leaf lettuce, go for it. Kale, high in calcium. Spinach, high in calcium. Arugula, radicchio, Swiss chard. Eat that stuff to your heart's content. That's where you get calcium that's very bioabsorbable. Put that in your mouth. You can use that calcium. Helps build strong bones. Helps put calcium inside of all tissues, which is actually many tissues require calcium as a necessary nutrient, and it's going to be very health promoting. Jana, is it an incomplete protein? Jana, there's no such thing as an incomplete protein. I hate to break it to you. It's very hard to find incomplete proteins in the plant world. So there's this myth that like, if you eat rice as an example, that rice is going to be deficient in a couple of amino acids and it's therefore like an incomplete protein. And then you have to combine your rice with beans in order to get a complete protein. And then that's the only way to live. The answer is, even if that is true for very specific foods that are missing one or two amino acids, it doesn't matter, because when you consume food and you have a diversity of material inside of your overall diet, if you're missing one or two amino acids from this food, you're going to get those one or two amino acids from another food. Okay. People don't eat foods in isolation. If you were eating only chickpeas all day long, every single day, and that was your only source of nutrition, it is a possibility that if it's an incomplete protein, then you would basically be deficient. But the truth is that you're eating, well, look who it is. You're eating many foods, and those many foods are going to combine into giving you a full array of all amino acids, and that's going to prevent against any kind of amino acid deficiency.
We heard you were talking about chickpeas.
Well, this is the little baby chickpea. Come on in. Come on in.
She loves chickpeas.
Okay. You ready? You want to show everybody on live TV you eating chickpeas? Okay, ready? Oh, careful. Try not to touch it. Okay. Ready? Watch. We're going to do a chickpea. Ooh. Show everybody how much you like your chickpeas.
Do you love your chickpeas?
She's a chickpea machine. So we started feeding Indigo, I don't know, maybe like 3 months ago or so. And when we started putting chickpeas in her mouth, game over. She eats these things like no one's business.
Yeah.
So if you have a kid and they also like eating chickpeas, or you haven't introduced them to them, try it. Indy, look at the camera. Look at the camera. She's staring at the chickpeas. Okay.
Well, we came in for another reason.
You came in for another reason.
We came in for another reason.
Go ahead.
Because we wanted you guys to hear first the exciting news.
Talk to him. Talk to him.
We are here at Mastering Diabetes. We love hosting live events, and we love hosting events that are really designed to help you gain the most insulin sensitivity that you can gain. And we have a special sneak peek, because in 2 weeks from now, we're going to be hosting a virtual retreat. And it's our first one that we're doing in over a year.
Yeah, right.
So we've had a very busy year, as you can tell. And we just wanted to tease out these retreats because it's such a fun way to get involved and spend time with our team. Get to know Indigo. This is her very first retreat. So
yeah, she's never been to one. So you're right. We've run a total of 9 retreats in the past. Some of them have been in person, some of them have been virtual. And we were concerned that the virtual retreats weren't actually going to be a good experience. But my Lord, people love the virtual retreats. You basically get 3 days worth of video conferencing where you go through some large group sessions, a lot of small group sessions where you get really detailed information from our entire coaching staff, who has an unbelievable body of knowledge. If you're insulin dependent, we got you covered. If you're non-insulin dependent, we got you covered. You got type 1, we got you covered. Type 2, we got you covered. Type 1.5, we got you covered. Pre-diabetes, covered. Gestational diabetes, covered. We can talk to all levels of diabetes and really teach you ways that you can get a plant-based diet in your lifestyle and make it sustainable, because that's what we're all about. It's all about sustainability in the long term. Somebody wants another chickpea.
Well, and the retreat is an opportunity to sort of jumpstart into a plant-based diet and learn the tools of our program, learn the tools of the lifestyle. And hi, William, what she said. And we are just so excited to be able to offer this event. And our coaches are all getting really excited to host this virtual retreat. And so stay tuned, because tomorrow, if you're on our mailing list, check it. Plant-based energy right here.
Yeah, seriously.
Tomorrow, we're going to be sending out an email with the details for our retreat. So if you're interested and it's something you've been curious about in the past, or this is the first time you're hearing about the possibility of a retreat with our entire team, it's a really exciting way to join us in our homes, in your home. And
we're also going to be giving you a meal plan and a grocery list, so you know exactly what to make in advance of the retreat starting. We're also going to be doing 2 sessions of exercise per day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. And then we also have a whole collection of breakout sessions that are very specific to different tentacles, if you will, different like very specific topics within the diabetes world. We're going to be making breakfast together, lunch together, dinner together. And honestly, we're just going to be having a lot of fun. There are some people who have come through our virtual retreat experience and literally had their minds blown. They've had their minds blown and seen dramatic changes in a very short period of time. Sandra was one woman in particular who came last time, and she had no hope and she was all despair. Felt like her doctor hadn't really given her guidance. She didn't really know what to do. She didn't even know what type of diabetes she was living with. And she was taking a whole whopping, many different oral medications. When she saw the level of attention and care that our team was given to her, she just tears straight out of her eyes. And she said, after the 3-day experience, she said, I have never in my life been in an experience where somebody cared this much about me as a human, and somebody gave me information that could truly change my life. And it gave me tears. Actually, I started crying when I heard that, because that's what we do. We're here to provide you. We're here to provide you with as much personal attention as necessary in order to help you solve problems and get those problems solved for the rest of the life. Okay. So check your email tomorrow. If you're not on the Mastering Diabetes mailing list, get on the mailing list. Check your email tomorrow. We're also going to be going live again next Monday at 7:00 p.m. Eastern. So put that on your calendar. We're going to be talking nothing about the virtual retreat, and then way you can get some more information and guidance and support. Lady from Manila says the baby's always the superstar, and she loves chickpeas. No question.
She really does.
No question.
Crazy. She loves them.
Maybe give me some other questions here. I want to see. Do all canned chickpeas have that loose skin on them? And do you remove the skin or keep it on? My answer. So you're talking about this skin. You see this little like skin? It's hard to focus on. Anyway, there's this little skin that kind of looks like a fingernail, if you will. And this skin kind of like is present on the chickpea. I eat it. I don't discriminate against the skin. So, to the best of my knowledge, yeah, it's not going to be possible to buy a can of chickpeas or bulk chickpeas that doesn't have the skin on them. So just eat it and you're fine. It's part of I'm sure there's probably some phenomenal nutrients in the skin itself. Mikey says, is it safe to eat canned chickpeas every day? As they said, canned food is dangerous. It causes cancer. Thank you. Okay. So let's talk about this. Canned food does not cause cancer. Okay. What you want to make sure of is that the can that you are using does not contain a compound in the lining called BPA. Okay. BPA stands for, it's like bisphenol phosphate A or something like that. I'm trying to remember the name, but it's a very complicated name. Don't worry about it. BPA is a known carcinogen. So when you pick up a can at the grocery store, make sure the can says BPA free. No BPA. BPA was not used in the lining of this can. If it does not say anything about BPA, put it right back on the shelf and walk away. Okay. It has to be BPA free. That is a requirement, because if it is, then there's no risk about a potential carcinogen being inside the can. Now, here's the truth. I don't actually eat that many cans of chickpeas. I'm just using the can as like a conceptual amount of chickpeas. We get chickpeas in bulk. We order them from Amazon. We get a 10-pound bag from Amazon at something like $1.50 per pound. We order that bag, and then we make the chickpeas in the Instant Pot in batches. Okay. And the reason for that is because, number one, it's less expensive. Number two, I go through so many chickpeas that I don't want to just get can after can after can after can and then have to recycle all those cans. So if you do enjoy getting chickpeas, then I would suggest ordering them in bulk, either from Amazon, from another company, or going to your grocery store and going to the bulk section and opening up a bin and then just taking the chickpeas out of the bin and then buying them by the pound that way. That's my suggestion. Okay. How do you roast chickpeas plant-based friendly? Here's how you do it. You take your chickpeas, you put them into a bowl. Okay. You take some spices that you enjoy the flavor of, and you put spices all over it. So in this suggestion, I would say paprika, cumin, black pepper, and even if you like some kind of hot red pepper, put it on there. No problem. So put that on there, mix it up, get it all, get the spices covered. Go to your oven, get out a baking dish, Put a parchment paper down, put the chickpeas on top of that, stick it in the oven, let it go in the oven. I don't remember the temperature. I think it's something like, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's probably like 350 for 20 minutes. Something on that, whatever. You can look up a recipe about it, but you don't need any oil at all. You don't need any oil on the pan. You don't need any oil on the chickpeas itself. Just spices. That's it. Makes your life 1,000 times easier. They're crunchy when they come out. They taste fantastic. Okay, we got time for maybe like 3 or 4 more questions, and then we're going to have to go. But Margot says, hello from Croatia. How do you keep your total fat intake below 30 grams of fat if you eat a lot of chickpeas? Okay, the answer is chickpeas are actually, they don't have a significant fat quantity. So if you take, I'm going to do it in Chronometer right now, but if you eat 4 cans of chickpeas per day, the fat content is not that high. So I don't have Chronometer on my phone right now. Point being, it's not that hard. So you can definitely keep, so here's what I would do. Go to Chronometer, go to MyFitnessPal, it doesn't really matter. Put in 4 cans of chickpeas and tell me what the fat content is from that. Okay. I don't have the number in front of me right now, but I can tell you that the fat content is going to be significantly less than 30 grams per day, and it's not going to be a real big problem. Okay. Okay. Nicole says, what do your meals look like day to day? Okay. Nicole, I'm going to answer this question. It's really simple. Okay. In the morning, I tend to eat a lot of fruit. So before I go to the gym, I'll have things like bananas and mangoes. Okay. Maybe I'll have 2 bananas. Maybe I'll have a mango, 2 bananas plus 1 mango. Maybe sometimes I'll have 3 or 4 bananas plus 1 or 2 mangoes. Okay. Something in that quantity. I'll go to the gym. I'll come back from the gym. That's when I eat a very large smoothie bowl. So I'll go make a smoothie that contains acai, maybe some mixed berries. I'll put in a couple more bananas. I'll blend that into this like nice thick smoothie bowl consistency. Pour it into a bowl. I'll cut some more stuff on top of it. I might put some like exotic fruits on top of there, like mame sapote, if that's available. I might put on some more bananas. I might put on some more berries. I might put on some more papaya if that's available. Whatever's in season, I'm going to put that on there. Sometimes peaches are in season. I'll put those. So you put that on top of the bowl. I then put like some cocoa nibs on top of that. And I'll put in some peanut powder because I love that stuff. Sprinkle it on top. I'll go to town and I'll eat that entire thing. That's my lunch. By the time the middle of the afternoon rolls around, that's when I go into Chickpeaville. That's when I start to eat the equivalent of maybe like 2 cans of chickpeas, call it, 24 ounces of chickpeas. And then by the time dinner rolls around, I might put some more chickpeas in there, maybe, or I'll transition to a more salady type thing. And then usually have some potatoes, call it a day. Okay. I eat very simply, incredibly simply, and I recommend that you also eat simply. Okay. Over the course of a week, add a lot of diversity. Over the course of a week, try and have like 20 or 30 different things inside of your diet. But on a day-to-day basis, you can literally get away with eating like 4 or 5 foods. You don't have to complicate it. You're going to get plenty of amino acids. You get plenty of carbohydrate. You're going to keep your fat intake low. You get plenty of micronutrients to come along with it. And your life will be much, much simpler than trying to create meals that are too complicated and a little bit laborsome. Marilyn Kohler is in the house. Can you put Marilyn on the screen, if you wouldn't mind, Bess? Marilyn says, such a cute baby. I love mastering diabetes, and after 5 years doing the better than ever. Marilyn, oh my gosh. Marilyn, I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm going to send you an email very soon because Marilyn has been part of the Mastering Diabetes ecosystem for 5 years. Marilyn has a phenomenal story because when she came to us, Marilyn has insulin-dependent type 1 diabetes. And when she came to us, her A1C was something like 5.6, 5.4%. She was like, I don't need your help with diabetes, Cyrus. I just have no energy. I have no energy. So we transitioned to her plant-based diet. And over the course of time, she went from being, what's the word I'm looking for? Like very sedentary to having a little bit of energy to being able to walk around inside of the house, to having a lot of energy to be able to go outside and go to the grocery store, to having so much energy that she now rides her bike, and she does that consistently. So Marilyn, I know that there's so many more details of this story that I'm not telling, and I want to learn more. So I'd love to have you on an interview if you would love to do that. And you can tell your story to the world and really show everybody just the true power of being consistent in your food intake and what it can do, not only from a blood glucose perspective, but also from a energy perspective and from a body weight perspective. Can't wait to talk with you. And Marilyn says, I'm 71. Don't forget that, Cyrus, because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm too old for this program. I can't do it. Never too old. Never, ever, ever too old. Renee, I've been doing MD for 6 months. I went from an A1C of 12.9 to 5. This works and I love chickpeas. Renee, I want you on the show. Send us an email. Go to team@masteringdiabetes.org. If any of you want to tell your story to the world, please send an email to team@masteringdiabetes.org and do it right now and say, hey, I was on a Facebook Live with Cyrus and he told me to send an email and I want to tell my story. I will literally interview you one by one by one because I want to learn from you guys and what type of improvements you've seen in your health. The more that I can learn from you, the more this community benefits and more other people will be like, oh, you know what? My story is just like Renee. My story is just like Marilyn. My story is just like Joaquin. My story is just like Dave. And all of a sudden, the community gets stronger. So please send an email, team@masteringdiabetes.org. Tell us you want to tell your story, and I can't wait. Looks like I think we're out of time. We're out of time. Okay, here's my recommendations. Number one, if you don't have chickpeas in your house, go get chickpeas this weekend. That's your job, okay? Again, go to Amazon.com. You can order in bulk. You can also go to your grocery store and get them in bulk. If you choose to get them in a can, it's totally fine. Just make sure 2 things are true. Number one, the lining is BPA free. Number 2, if you can find them low sodium, that would be even better. And number 3, if you can find them organic, that's even better, okay? So bulk Amazon, bulk grocery store, or can grocery store, no problem. Try and get 1 serving of chickpeas per day into your diet. If you don't love chickpeas, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe start with a small amount and start to increase over the course of time. If you enjoy chickpeas, then please geek out on them and get as obsessed as me. And then maybe one day we can just get together and all have a chickpea fest together one day and go nutsos. You guys are awesome. I love the engagement. I love how many people are showing up. Lots of really good questions. So thank you so much for being here. Again, the last thing I'll say is check your email tomorrow. We're going to be sending an email about the virtual retreat. The virtual retreat is the 22nd to the 24th of July. So that's literally like 2 weeks from now. Trust me when I say you want to be part of this virtual retreat. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. Very interactive. You get to ask a bunch of questions. You get personal attention. You get workouts. You get a meal plan. You get information. You get to make friends with other people. You get new phone numbers. You're like, hey, I didn't know you live in my area. Let's go hang out. Before you know it, you have new friends. It's all about getting together and being social and having a good idea or having a good time. So hopefully we'll see you there. Facebook Live next Monday, 7:00 p.m. Same time, same channel, wherever you're watching. Hopefully we'll come back to you on the same channel. Can't wait to see you there. And in the meantime, peace.